Hello, welcome. My name is Brianna, and today we are going to be learning an art lesson. I am an artist, and today I'm going to teach you how to make your own version of stained glass. So, this is going to come from a lesson from the book Artistic Pursuits. If you have it, this will be your guideline for this lesson. It's lesson 34 in the early elementary book. But we'll try to make it fun for everyone who's joining along. So, basically, art in Windows has been around for a really, really long time. It originally started in medieval times for people to be able to see pictures that represented the stories that people were telling from the Bible in churches. So they would use glass to tell the stories. Now, when we tell stories today, we have TV shows and movies and books with pictures in it, and it's really easy for us to see stories. But back in the medieval times, they didn't really have books and they didn't have TV shows. So this was a way for them to communicate how the story was going. So over time, it was developed to be a very pretty thing that would tell different visual stories and be able to make a place look really pretty, because the light would come in from the window and filter through colored glass so that it would light up in a dark room. And I have a couple of examples of this. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you our examples, and then I will get into how we are going to make our own version of stained glass. So, first of all, the image that I have up here is an example of stained glass. What do you think this stained glass is of? I wonder if you can see two eyes and a nose. This is a stained glass of a cat. You can see that the nose of the cat is red or pink, and that the eyes are kind of blue and green. And all of this comes in from color from the light coming in through the window. So it makes a little bit of a tint. And on the next slide, this is some stained glass from far away. Each of these little things represents a different type of picture, but you can see that it has a lot of light. What colors do you see in this stained glass? When I'm looking at it, I can definitely see some yellow that makes a big circle in the middle. And then I can see, I think I can see some green that is coming through. Does anyone see the color red? And what about the color blue? They use all sorts of rainbow colors to create this stained glass that comes through. And you can see that on the rock with the table, there's a reflection. You can see how the light reflects off of the table. This is from Notre Dame, and you can see inside every single little circle is a little piece of a story that's being told. And it comes around in a whole big circle because it's showing a different part of the stories. And in each section, it all has these crosses, these little X's and little roses. I think these are called the rose windows. They're called, and it's in France, where The Hunchback of Notre Dame, that movie from Disney, takes place. The next example I have is this one. You can see how the color changes over time in each one of these. Each window has a different story that's being told, and it's basically cut out of shapes. So today we are going to get started with our own version of stained glass. But do you guys have all the equipment to make glass melt and make it turn colors? Because I don't have that. Do you have that? So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a version of stained glass from normal supplies. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a pair of scissors like this, or smaller ones if you have them. You'll need some tissue paper and a black piece of construction paper. Now, the reason we're going to use tissue paper is because light goes through it very easily. You can kind of see that it's a little bit what we like to call transparent, but it still looks red. But if you take a light like a flashlight, look, you can kind of see the light through there, can't you? And it creates kind of a red color. You can even see that on the camera reflection here, there's the color red. So we're going to make this so that when we can make a little bit of a window with our black construction paper, and then we're going to glue this red and all these colors here of tissue paper to the window to kind of create glass. And then we'll put it up at a window and we will see how it goes. So, to get started, make sure you have grabbed all your supplies. Another supply you can have, it's not necessary, but I'll use it, is to have a white colored pencil to draw shapes on the construction paper as we get ready. So to get started, you're going to want to take your tissue paper. This one's cut into squares for me, but you can, if you have a big sheet, you're going to first want to go ahead and cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a bigger piece that I have here, and I'm going to cut it down into smaller sizes. You can have a parent help you if you're not very good with scissors. This is a larger sheet of paper, and we're going to take it, and you're going to want to cut it into kind of square pieces. If you've already done this, then you're way on top of it. So we're going to cut it there. Sometimes tissue paper rips, and that's okay. And you want to make sure you have nice, bright, colorful tissue paper that you can be able to choose your favorite color from. And we're going to cut this up a lot more as we get going, but this is going to be a start. So I want you to think, what type of shape would you like in your stained glass? We probably can't make cats like I had in my example, but we're going to try to make maybe some diamonds, maybe a flower, some bright color. We're going to make a pattern essentially. So what I want you to do is you're going to take your black piece of construction paper. Does everyone have their black piece of construction paper? And I will wait just a minute so that you make sure you have it in front of you. When you have it, put one hand down and then the other hand down, and then you can do a little dance party with your paper. All right. So now that we have it, we're going to lay it nice and flat. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one edge of it and fold it over to the other edge. And you're going to want to make sure it lines up corner to corner, corner to corner, and edge to edge. And then you get here and you're going to take your finger from the top and fold it all the way down. Nice and easy. And I like to go against it again just to make sure it gets really flat. If you have a pencil, what you can do is you can take the edge of your pencil against here and rub it across. And then we're going to take it and move it along here, and we're going to fold it one more time. And then we'll do the same thing where we smooth that edge. And smooth it again. Now, don't unfold this, but I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So from this corner where we unfolded it, you can see that the middle of the lines here come together in a shape, come together in the middle. So we have each section is divided so that everything's perfectly in the middle. So that means when we cut along these folded edges, when we unfold them, they're going to make a bigger shape. If you've ever made paper snowflakes during the winter, this is very similar what we're going to be doing here, because we're essentially making our window shapes. So you can go ahead and cut, or if you have like a white colored pencil or a regular pencil will do fine, you can think about what type of shapes you want in your window. I think I'm going to go ahead and draw a half oval shape. So that will make a whole oval when we open it up. Or a circle. I said oval, but it might be a little bit more of a circle. An oval is a circle shape that is not perfectly round. So it's going to be rounded corners, but it's going to not look like a circle. It's going to look a little bit different than that. So I have drawn half of that. It kind of looks like, well, it's a backwards letter C, because a C would be frontwards. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw a triangle here. For a shape. And that's going to make a diamond shape, because half of a triangle is a diamond. Now, we can also go over here and draw another triangle, because that will make a diamond. And then another circle here, or oval. Now, if you want to be very fancy and get here and have a pattern here, what you can do is take this edge of the paper, and what you're going to do is you're going to fold it so that it makes a triangle shape. Like this. So you take one edge over to the other side, and then you're going to flatten this out. Now this is going to go right here in the middle. And I think I'm going to be a little bit silly. And I'm going to make like a little bit of a bumpy shape. It might look like a flower when we're done cutting it. Then on this side, I think I'm going to make a couple of shapes come up from the top here. Now these won't fold out to make a bigger shape. They'll just kind of make a shape on the edges. So I think for the edges, I'm going to do an oval, then a triangle. Well, it's a bump really. And then a bump here. All right. Now that I have all of this out, the first thing I'm going to cut is this along the edge. Now, I went through that really fast, so let's rework what we've done here. We have our square, and we have drawn a half of an oval, a triangle, another triangle, an oval, two bumps up here, and a triangle. And then I also went ahead and folded this in half and drew a bumpy shape. Now, if you're already done, we're going to wiggle our fingers and get our hands stretching to kind of get ready to cut. But for everyone else who's still catching up, we'll give you just a couple more seconds to catch up with us. So, everybody stretch, get ready to cut, because we're going to be doing some art. Boom! All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our scissors. Now, when working with scissors, we want to be very careful that we don't accidentally cut our fingers. And if you need help cutting, you can ask your parents for help. Here we go. So the first shape I'm going to do for me is going to be this bumpy shape that I've colored out. If you didn't want to draw shapes and you just want to cut, that's okay too. I find it easy to kind of have a guide to cut off of. There's one bump. And there's the second bump. And the third. And it kind of fell out of my hands when I finished cutting. And I'm going to unfold that, and you can kind of see that it looks a little bit like a leaf or a flower. And I'm going to go ahead and cut along the rest of the edges here. I'm going to cut up top for this triangle first, because triangles are pretty easy to cut. And then a circle here to make sure that cuts nice and easy. And then the thing I'm going to go to next is this other half circle here. As I'm looking at this, it kind of looks like two eyes and a beak for a bird. And then next, I'm going to cut out this triangle. Now, you didn't have to do the shapes that I did. You can make any type of shape you want. And go ahead and cut. I had an itch on my nose. And then we're going to come up here and cut another triangle. How many of you guys are doing triangle shapes, and how many of you are doing circle shapes? Or did you think of another shape? You can tell us in the comments section what other shapes you're thinking about doing. Now I have all my shapes cut out. Now I don't want to leave a mess in my workstation because in a little bit we're going to be working with glue. So before I unfold this, and while you guys are finishing cutting, I'm going to move all of this over to a trash can on the side, or a trash bag, or a recycling can. I probably will recycle these. And now it's time for the reveal of what shapes we made. So you take your cutting and I'm going to make sure everyone's caught up and is ready to unfold. And I'm going to unfold mine. So I unfold it once, and you can see I have two leaves, a circle and a diamond, and then I have a fun shape up here at the top. And then I'm going to unfold it again, and I have 4 diamonds. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 2 circles, 1 and 2, 2 ovals, 1, 2, and then I have 4 leaves or flowers, whichever is like it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then at the edges, we have this fun pattern. Now, the next step requires you to have some glue. You can grab a glue stick, would work best for this, but if you don't have a glue stick, you can get some white glue like this and flip over. If you drew on yours like I did, you want to flip over so that the side that you drew on is facing up, because this is going to be the back for our window. Now, at this point, you need to go through your tissue paper that we have here and find all of your favorite colors. I really like blue. Is anyone else's favorite color blue? And, ooh, this orange is really fun. I have some pink. I think I want to do, there's some brighter orange here and some yellow. And I like those colors. I think those are the colors I'm going to work with. Have you guys all picked out your colors that you want to put in your stained glass window? Well, it's not stained glass. Tissue paper window would be a better word for it. What do you think we should call our window today? Tissue paper window. Or, you know what? I have a good idea. What if we called it a light catcher? Because it's catching the light and turning it colors. So, what we're going to do next is you're going to want to take your tissue paper and decide what shapes it's going to go with. I'm going to try to make all of my things symmetrical, which means that it's the same on one side that it is on the other. So this one is a circle and this one is on a circle, and they're both the same shape on the same side because we folded everything and cut it to be that way. So I want to make sure that all of my shapes get the same color. I think I want these top ones to have blue. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half and make sure that this can cover this without covering anything else up. And it covers up this part here, but it covers over my flower. So I'm going to cut it in half again, longwise. And now it's about the right shape, but it's coming over the diamond. So I'm going to make sure it's a little bit smaller and that it fits the shape there. That one does. Whoops, I think it does anyways. Yeah, that fits the shape. And then I want to make sure that it's the same on the other side here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it be the same down here. So I want to make sure it fits and that it doesn't cover the diamond. So I'm going to do a cross cut here. Now, you don't have to care as much about making them look exactly like the shapes if you don't want. So you could, if you are still cutting out images, at this point you might be able to catch up by just gluing some shapes down onto the paper without caring so much what the color looks like. I'm going to cut out another piece here for the blue and cut off ends in a triangle so that they still... Oops, I might have cut the wrong end. No, I can use that one there. I might need to cut this one a little bit differently. There we go. All right, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna start gluing and then we'll work on the other colors in a minute. So I'm gonna take, if you're using a glue stick, you will glue along the edges of the paper. If you're using a glue bottle like I am, you're just gonna very lightly, don't squeeze too much. There's this thing in science called gravity, and it makes things go down towards the earth. And you can let your glue bottle, once you squeeze it just a little bit to get it going, you can let gravity do the work to get your glue out. And you don't have to squeeze too hard. And now that I have that, I'm going to press down so that the tissue paper attaches. I'm going to go to the next part here. I'm only going to use a little bit because I think even last time I used a little bit too much. I'm like trying to flip it around to make sure it's the right way. And then I'm going to make sure it comes up here. And tissue paper is very light. You could even tear it to be the right shape instead of cutting it if you want to. And if we turn it over, we can see that it's blue on this side in the shapes. But on this side, you can see that it's all paper. All right, let's go through the next one here. And I'm just going to glue all along the edges here. There we go. And then the next one can come up. And I forgot to get it too close to the edge here. That should be okay. All right, next color I'm going to do is yellow. So I'm going to cut or rip my yellow in half. And I'm going to make it be a small square, and it's going to be these circles in the middle for my yellow. You can use whatever color you want. And if you want to, I'm going to do this on a different section of it. You can just layer over different squares of paper so that it has kind of a multicolor to it. So I'm going to do a circle around here and a circle of glue around here. Or you use a glue stick and you glue around it. And you just want to press down. You don't have to use too much glue from the Elmer's glue if you're using that, or the white glue. All right, so the yellow's done, and I am going to go ahead and do some orange. And I think I'm going to have the orange be the diamond shapes. So I'm going to cut out 4 pieces of orange. This is a light orange for me. I'm going to glue around the edges. Glue that on. This might be a bit too big, so like I said, you can just rip tissue paper. And then I'm just going to glue around the edges. Not too much. You just want to do a light squeeze if you're doing a glue bottle. This is why glue sticks are better, but I couldn't find a glue stick. That happens sometimes when you're an artist, that you have art supplies that you use, but you can't necessarily find the right art supply, so you have to use a different one. Because being an artist is about being creative and finding new solutions to things, which is also like being a scientist, since scientists often find new solutions to things as well. Now, for the last part, we're going to go ahead and take some pink and some of our dark orange, and we're going to just cut them up into squares, and we're just going to kind of glue them on in a random pattern for the last images, which is a way that you can glue things if you want. Oops. Sorry if I bumped you. I bumped my microphone. Alright, so I'm going to glue here. I'm just going to do little dots this time. And I'm going to take part of the pink and put it down. And I'm going to take part of the orange and put it behind the pink. And if it gets over the edge, that's okay. You can trim it off with a pair of scissors like this. I'm going to do some more dots. And then I'm going to take this big piece of orange and I'm going to glue it here. Also here. And I will take colors here, glue around the edges of the shape, and we'll just put on some more colors. I said images, but it's really shape and color. Alright, and if anything's sticking up, you want to make sure you put a little bit of glue on the edges to make sure it doesn't stick up anymore. And once you have all of the holes covered and glued, whoopsies, that's why we don't squeeze glue too much. I think I'll do, since I accidentally put glue there, I'm going to put some yellow behind that. Alright, so on this side, does it look like art? It might be abstract art, but if we flip it over and look at this side, it's all tissue paper like this. Now, when we hold it up to the light, we have to see if we can see through it with some lighting. So I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to use the flashlight to hold through it. Now, what you can do, if you have a window when you're done, you can put your art up to a window. Or if you don't have a window, you can also use the flashlight as well. And look, do you guys see the light coming through the color? Just the same as stained glass? I do. So you've made this. Now that we've done one, you can make a lot more of these. You can make more patterns. You could make it into a rose shape, just like the windows at Notre Dame in Paris. Go ahead and make your own and then show us what you've made for Bookshark. Thank you guys so much for coming and doing an art session with me. I can't wait to see what you've made. All right, see you next time.